We got a special guest hanging out with us today. Sam Yarnell is off. You'll see who that special guest is coming up in about 10 minutes. Kurt Helin will be here. Pro basketball talk at NBCSports.com. He does a terrific job on the NBA with NBC Sports. And we'll get some thoughts with him. He usually joins us on Wednesday, joining us today because Stan Van Gundy was on with us yesterday on the show. So we appreciate Kurt being able to move that hit with us to today. There is news to get to from the NFL. Something we'll get to here in the big story in just a couple of minutes. We got a Thursday night NFL game to talk about as well. But as usual, we start things off with the big story. And the big story today is Puka Nacua. And it's funny. When I was a kid, my father, I was at a store, a retail outlet, with some friends of mine. I might have been 12, 13 years old. And one of my friends got busted for shoplifting, stealing baseball cards, interestingly enough. And he took some cards out of a pack and walked out with them. He opened up a pack, took some cards out and left with them. And I was with him. And we got pulled into, this like interrogation room inside, loss prevention inside this store. And my parents got called and everything. I didn't steal anything, so I wasn't in any trouble, but I was with these people that got in trouble. And I remember my father at that time saying to me, "Son, this is a lesson. You're known by the company you keep. And, who you choose to hang around with, and those decisions carry weight." And I was thinking about that yesterday in the context of this Puka Nacua story. And if you're looking on the screen right now, you see Puka Nacua on a streaming video with Adin Ross, one of these social media influencers. Again, I wouldn't know him if he was standing in the room right now. I couldn't tell you who he was, but he's got a zillion followers and people watch, and it's a whole nother topic of conversation that's not meant for this show. But Adin Ross, look, he's talked to the president. Adin Ross, he's actually had like a sit down with Donald Trump inside a limo once. So, he clearly has some pull and some sway, but he's also been known to have platformed people like Nick Fuentes. And again, I'm not going to get into the whole thing. Go Google Nick Fuentes and you'll understand why that would be somebody controversial. So that brings us to Puka Nacua, who some way, somehow winds up on Adin Ross's channel. His streaming channel. And Puka Nacua is on there, and he's saying and doing all sorts of things that are just not smart. We'll start from the football side of it. Going after NFL referees. They're the worst, he says. Saying that, some of them are lawyers or attorneys, and, they officiate these games, and they're just making calls to get on TV and calling their friends and saying, "Hey, did you see me on TV? Making that call? That wasn't really pass interference." And literally doing this on this huge streaming platform and everybody seeing the clip of it. Just from a football perspective, this is stupid. It's dumb. And somebody, Sean McVay, somebody's got to get into his ear and say, "What are you doing? You're going to be in this league another decade. Do you really want NFL officials, refs, line judges sitting there watching you extra close, trying to find a reason now to penalize you?" Idiotic mistake number one. Number two, Adin Ross says, "Hey, who's the most overrated team of all the teams going to the playoffs?" Puka Nacua, take the high road. Don't answer this question. Oh no, what's he do? He answered the question. Says the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now look, he may or may not be right. Let somebody like me say it. I don't have to play against the Jaguars. I don't have to get on the field and go up against the Jaguars potentially. And again, they're in different conferences, so the only way they'll play now is in the Super Bowl. But still, why would you give that bulletin board material? Makes no sense. There's just no... it really makes you wonder sometimes, what's going on upstairs? Did you take one too many hits to the head? What are you thinking? Then there is the part of this that we'll get into even more with Robert Littal. Oh, I spoiled it. That's our surprise guest hanging out with us on the show today. There you go. I scooped myself. Robert Littal from Black Sports Online will join us coming up in 10 minutes to talk about this. less than that now. And then there's this part of it. There is this Puka Nacua doing this touchdown dance that was proposed to him by Adin Ross. And some people have looked at it and said there is a hint of anti-Semitism in it, in part of the dance that Adin Ross asks him to do. And Puka Nacua says not only does Puka Nacua do the dance in this streaming video with Adin Ross, he takes it a step further and says, I'll do it if I score a touchdown this week against the Seahawks, who they'll be playing on Thursday night. And you're just watching this going, does he not understand what he's doing right now? What stereotype he's feeding into? And you've got to imagine the Rams are going to say something to him. You have to imagine the organization's going to pull him aside. Even the NFL at some point you would think would have to step in. If he does this dance after scoring a touchdown tonight, people are going to lose their minds. But who knows? I guess we'll all be watching tonight to see if Puka Nacua scores a touchdown against the Seahawks, to see if he does this idiotic dance. I don't know. But it just goes to show you that idle time, right? Rams, a little time off, extra day here or there. And what winds up happening? Guys find themselves getting into trouble. And this is what NFL teams fear the most. During the season, you rarely hear about guys getting into trouble because they're so regimented. Everything is so scheduled. This is your Monday, this is your Tuesday, throughout the NFL season. When do guys get in trouble? During the offseason, when they have too much time on their hands. And you're finding out why in this Puka Nacua, streaming video with Adin Ross. This is why teams fear so much guys being out of the facility and having time to themselves during the season. The stuff like this can happen. We'll see how the league reacts. I want to see what Robert Littal has to say about it. Founder of Black Sports Online is hanging out with me for the show today with Sam being off. Kurt Helin later on to talk NBA. That's your big story. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to do. Welcome back to this Thursday edition of the show. I said I had a special guest hanging out with me today. Sam is off. But Robert Littal's not off. Founder of Black Sports Online is hanging out with us for the duration
I'm always
today.
on. Forever.
That is the life of content creators. We are always on. Never off. I know. I'm learning. I talked about it in the big story, Robert, and I'm anxious to kind of hear your thoughts on it for the first time. And it's this Adin Ross Puka Nacua video. We did a sports wrap short on it yesterday. It's the first time I've had a chance to talk about it on this show. And I'll start with the football side of it, and then we'll get to the weird touchdown dance part of the video, where you get Puka Nacua, who's the Rams receiver, for those that don't follow football. And Puka Nacua is out there with Adin Ross, who is a social media influencer. And by the way, I'll ask you, I had no idea who he was until yesterday. And I'm sure he's got a zillion followers, and the kids will come at me and say, okay, boomer, and all that stuff. But did you know who Adin Ross was?
Yeah, I knew who he was. And I'll be honest, I'm like you too. A lot of these guys, I don't really understand why they're so popular. But he got an interview with the president. So
yes.
He's definitely one of the more popular, I don't even know what you would call them, streamers, influencers, whatever Jake Paul used to be, that's what these guys are now.
I'm like I said, I have no idea. People are just famous for doing dumb things or whatever. Okay, fine. So Adin Ross does this video with Puka Nacua, and the first part of it is Puka Nacua talking about officiating in the league and saying it's the worst, and talking about how some of these officials are lawyers and they need to get attention, and sometimes they just make bad calls just to get some attention and get on camera and all this stuff. Which, first of all, Roger Goodell's got to be sitting in the home office in New York just going like, what are we doing here? But I'll take it from this perspective. You're going to be in the league another 10 years, hopefully, if you're Puka Nacua. What on earth are you doing saying something like this, that's only going to not do the complete opposite of currying favor with these officials. I want to get your thoughts on that part of it first.
You know what the first thing I thought about when I saw that? I thought about Peyton Manning at the Pro Bowl when he talked about his liquored up kicker. I thought about these kids now. They have a lot of podcasts. They have a lot of access to social media. And I'm not saying all athletes are like this, but there's a reason, that some of them are athletes and not, doctors. You know what I mean? There's a reason, for that. And I think teams are going to have to take it more seriously now. We've seen a little bit of it with Michael Porter Jr. These guys, they have thoughts, but I don't know if there's much going on up there when the thoughts come out of their mouth. And if you're the Rams, you got a legit chance at the Super Bowl. What if some ref is like, something? It is Super Bowl time. You want me to make a show of it? You want me to get in the group chat and tell my friends something? Well, watch this. Incomplete.
Push off. Offensive interference.
Offensive pass interference on number, Puka Nacua in a big spot. These kids, they have too much access and they talk too much. And as older people, we understand. Sometimes they always say silence is golden. Sometimes you need to become platinum.
And just take it, and it also shows idle time is the devil's hands. You got a few extra days off and you're Puka Nacua and you're hanging out with Adin Ross.
Just why? Why? What did he think? And like I said, he's young, so probably Adin Ross and these guys are like, I don't know. I mean, maybe like I looked up to Stuart Scott, and Stuart Scott was like, come hang out. I would have come hang out. So I think to these young guys, these streamers are the people that they look up to. So when they like come on the show, they're all excited. But the streamer's job is to get you to say something controversial and viral. And he got him. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now nothing happens to him. He just makes more money.
Yep.
But Puka, he's the one that's going to have to deal with the consequences.
This is a guy, and Adin Ross, by the way, who's platformed Nick Fuentes. And all I'll tell you is I'm not going to go into the whole political stuff and all that. Just go and Google Nick Fuentes. That's all you need to go do, and you'll find out everything you need to know about why platforming somebody like that isn't necessarily a good idea, which leads us to the second part of this, which is Adin Ross trying to show Puka Nacua a touchdown dance he wants him to do. Now, some have looked at this and said it is an anti-Semitic sort of thing with him doing the thing with his hands. And I don't even know if Puka Nacua knew this.
Probably not.
Probably not. It's like flat earther territory. Like what are we doing here? And
their only job, like you said, why would you platform someone like the guy that you just said? To get attention. Why would you say this? Why would you do that? Why would you they do this, they get people on who may be a little bit naive, and he probably had no idea what he was doing. But Adin knew exactly what was going to happen. And it only helps his brand more. People are talking about him. People are finding out who he is. You didn't know who he was yesterday. You know who he is today. That's good for him. It's bad. I said, there's political people and senators all talking about, like, you're a wide receiver for the Rams. There's no reason you should even be in these conversations.
Nope.
And this is a whole nother thing. So, how does Sean McVay handle this? What does the NFL, do about it? It's a controversy that just didn't need to happen, but just happens because, you go in there, you take a few shots, and next thing you know, you're saying things that maybe you say in the locker room, and don't realize you're saying it now in front of 10 million, people online, and now you're stuck.
And stuck is definitely the word, because I don't, if you're the Rams, what do? I mean, you probably pull him into a room. You say you're not going to suspend him. He's one of your most important pieces to the offensive puzzle. I don't know if the NFL will do anything about it. Maybe they give him a stern talking to. But in this time and everything we're seeing with anti-Semitism being where it is, this recent attack in Australia, obviously, and you don't need me to run through the litany of things. This is the last thing the NFL wants to see. And some people have said, Adin Ross is Jewish, so, he can't be anti-Semitic. No, but Puka Nacua isn't. So, I'm just like...
Seinfeld episode.
Right. Exactly. My father's gay.
I'm Jewish.
Exactly.
No. You're not Jewish. I'm Jewish.
It just blows my mind. But I was curious to get your thoughts on it. And We'll see if the NFL says or does anything about it. And if Puka Nacua catches a touchdown and does this dance, all hell's going to break loose.
He's going to be told not.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'm sure he's been pulled into a corner and they're like, don't you ever go on anything ever again. Just like the Mets. They told him, Michael Porter, please don't. Just stop talking. Just shoot the ball.
We're coming back. We got more to do on this edition of Sports Wrap. Cam Ward wants say in who his next head coach is. And what are the odds we see Joe Burrow starting in week 1 for the Bengals next season? That's next. Helin joins us in 10 minutes. I'll chat with him about the world of the NBA. We had Stan Van Gundy on the show yesterday. Got into a lot of it with him. If you missed any of that conversation, head over to our YouTube channel, Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. It's got the entire conversation there. It was actually so long of a conversation, we had to cut some of it out. So we might throw the entire thing up on YouTube, maybe a little bit later on Thursday. We're hanging out with Robert Littal from Black Sports Online today. Usually joins us on Friday, but he's joining us today on Thursday as well to give us some thoughts on some of the top stories of the day. And in this case, we're getting into the NFL, Robert. Week 15, or Week 16. Week 16? Week 15? I don't know. I'm losing track of it all at this point. Week 16 of the NFL season kicking into gear here. And, you know, a couple of quarterback stories I wanted to get to. Cam Ward. Rough rookie season for him, as you probably thought it would be. You know, getting thrown in as the starter there in Tennessee for a bad Titans team. They fire the head coach early on in the year. And now they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with that head coaching position. And Cam Ward thinks he should have say in who the next head coach of this team is. And on the surface, I would say it's nuts. I mean, you're a rookie. You haven't even played a full season in the league, and you're demanding a say. I'm not saying you don't pull the quarterback in the room and have a conversation, but to think you're going to have, like, real sway, like veto power, if they say we're bringing in X and you want Y, I mean, I don't think Cam Ward's had the type of season or the gravitas to say that he should have that sort of say. Am I nuts?
You know, yeah, and I tell you why. I give you one name, Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen. Hey, here's the thing: when you're say a top first round pick, quarterback, 1 through the 32 or whatever, and they fire your head coach and they fire the general manager or whatever it may be, the new guys, they didn't bring you in, they didn't draft you. They didn't, you're not necessarily their guy. And we've seen situations where the new guy comes in and says, you know something, I want somebody different. And, every once in a while you have a good situation like what happened with Caleb Williams. He got lucky. Ben Johnson, when he came in, he said, you know something, Caleb Williams is my guy. I'm going to work with him. We're going to get this done together. And there you go. Other instances, the new guy's like, I don't want him. Maybe he likes Fernando Mendoza. Maybe he likes Dante Moore. He say, hey, look, let's trade this guy and get the guy I want. So if you're Ward, you're like, listen, I need to be in that room to make sure the guy that you hire wants me to be the long-term quarterback of this franchise. Because if not, we need to have some other conversations about what the future may hold. I
wonder, and here's the thing. They're going to be near the top of the draft. They're going to have an opportunity to draft another quarterback. Now, this is not a great quarterback draft that's coming up here. Arch Manning's decided to stay in, Dante Moore. Where are you going? And frankly, the Raiders right now, I think, would have the first pick in as far as quarterbacks are concerned, not as far as picks overall in the draft. Looks like the Giants will have the top pick as of now if they don't blow it and figure out a way to win a bunch of games here over the last couple of weeks. So I don't even know if the Titans would have Dante Moore as an option, but I wonder if the new head coach comes in and if there is a possibility they go draft another quarterback. And you have somebody competing with Cam Ward.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it depends on what you think of Cam Ward. Like I said, it's a rookie season. I mean, Drake May didn't have a great, rookie season. Caleb Williams didn't have a great rookie season. And you see the second year with a little more talent around them, with a little more structure around them, what they could be. So the real question is, when you look at Cam Ward, is it just a product of his environment, which is the reason that he struggled, and he's a first-year quarterback, but you see all the talent, all the leadership, or is it something where, we made a mistake? This guy's not a first-rounder. This guy should have been this. And that sometimes come into who you bring in next. If the guy comes in next and says, something, I looked at all the tape, I looked at all the film, I think we could do better. I think we could do better maybe in free agency or whatever it may be. If you're Cam Ward, you want to at least know what you're dealing with. And I think that's why he wants to be involved. Not so much to pick the coach, but to let them know, like, hey, I just want to make sure me and the coach are on the same page, and he sees me as the franchise quarterback that I see myself as.
I think all of that is very fair. Take me to Joe Burrow here, because there's a lot of different signals being thrown up here. From Joe Burrow. There were the comments a couple of weeks ago that got a lot of attention of him, not enjoying the game and losing some of the joy. And a lot of people started to construe that as, hey, maybe he's gonna demand a trade. Maybe he wants out. Maybe he's gonna do an Andrew Luck and just walk away from the game. That was the way I interpreted it. That he might just say, you know what, I'm so banged up, I'm so tired of this. I've already made $100 million in my career. I'm done. Peace out. The Bengals are a mess. I'm not doing this anymore. And then he came, and then players around him were saying, no, that's not true. He's fine. He's in the locker room. Then he said it wasn't addressed towards the team. It was just sort of how he was feeling. And now he's saying, hey, crazy things happen. And everybody's just looking around saying, what is Joe? It's like he's gone like Aaron Rodgers crazy here the last couple of weeks, throwing up all these signals and nobody knows what the hell he means.
I think he just hates the Bengals. I'll be honest with you. I think the Bengals being in Cincinnati has wore on him a little bit. I mean, they didn't even shovel off the snow for the fans.
Imagine
their facilities aren't great. They're known to be cheap. They've had 2 years to try to fix the defense. The defense is still awful. It just looks like the losing is wearing on them. I mean, this is a guy that won a national championship, that came right into the NFL, and when he was healthy, got to a Super Bowl relatively early. Last 2-3 years hasn't been that great for him, and I just mentally he looks just down. Now maybe an off season you get refreshed and you come back, but he definitely, I don't think if they came to him and say, hey Joe, do you want to be traded? I don't think he'd be like no. But I don't think he's the type of guy also that'll be like, I'm quitting and I want to go, somewhere else. So maybe he's just trying to put it out there, and hopefully, how you want to break up with someone, but you don't want to do it. So you start doing little stuff like not taking out the trash, leaving your socks on the floor. I don't know, having an affair. You do all of this stuff to get them to break up with you.
It's like Seinfeld reference. It was like George Costanza. He was trying to break up with the girl.
And Susan, he's doing all this stuff. Yeah.
Oh my God, you've caught me in my web of lies.
And she's laughed at him. So,
she's like, we're not breaking up.
That's what the Bengals will do to Joe. But it's almost, it feels to me like he's hinting, I'll retire. Trying to, maybe bait him into, getting rid of him.
Susan goes, George, we're not breaking up. Yeah, no, we're working this out. What? But. And the Bengals aren't going to trade. I mean, we saw how they dealt with the whole Trey Hendrickson situation during the last offseason. They're not trading away Joe Burrow. So I don't know how this thing gets worked out. Maybe he retires. We'll see what happens in the offseason. Kurt Helin's next. Robert will be back for odds and ends. On this Thursday, we keep things moving. Robert Littal will join us at the end of the show for odds and ends. He'll rejoin us then. But in the meantime, let's talk some NBA. He usually joins us on Wednesday, but he was magnanimous enough to move to Thursday because we had Stan Van Gundy yesterday from Prime Video. Love Stan. Dude hooked me up. I'm not gonna lie. Got me hooked up. I got to go to the NBA Cup final over at T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas. Kurt was in town. I didn't get to see him because he was sitting. Yeah. Because they seated him in Guam to watch the game.
Yeah. I didn't exactly have the best seats, but that's part of that was that I couldn't make. I was at my daughter's lacrosse tournament, so I was only there for the finals, not the whole thing. So
they punished you? Was that what it was? They punished you for only coming in for the finals?
I don't think so. I think that I don't think it was that. I think that they'd given the seats to some other people, and that's fine. This is where I was last year for the event, so that's fine.
All right, fair enough. I gotta say, it was an entertaining game. Like, I had heard all this stuff about the buzz in the arena, and it wasn't great, and the vibe and all this. I asked Stan his thoughts. He was like, dude, that arena was alive. So I'll ask you the same thing. Compared to the first 2 years that you were here for it, how did the atmosphere match what you had seen in the first 2 years?
The first year was a little different, and it's an unfair comparison. It was pretty good because the Lakers were in it.
But this is the Knicks.
Vegas is a Lakers town, which
true.
People don't really realize. And second, it's basically part of an LA home market. Second, if you're a Lakers fan, and by the way, Laker tickets are hard to get and expensive as all, that's your Christmas present, getting to go to a game, right? You can get to Vegas, get an affordable seat, and go see your team. So a bunch of people made the trip. So there was a different energy that year. Last year, the energy was a little light, except for the Hawks game, only because the Falcons were playing the Raiders. So there was just a bunch of Atlanta people in town. And then I thought the energy, though, was pretty good last night for the final game. I thought there were a lot of, Wemby's a big star. The Knicks travel. I thought the energy was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was, too. And then you have the game. I actually thought the Spurs were going to win. I'm a Knicks fan, but I had actually picked the Spurs to win the game. And for, almost 3 quarters, it looked like they were going to win the game, and they're up double digits. And then the Knicks go on this run, and I was kind of surprised. I was a little surprised Mitch Johnson brought Wemby back in the fourth so late. He waited until about 4.5 minutes left. Yeah. And I know they were trying to monitor his minutes, but the game's already like an 8-point game at that point. And now you're forcing Wemby to take shots that he may not want to take because he's trying to force the action. That's my only critique from a X's and O's standpoint that I'm going to get into. But I'm curious to get your thoughts on the way the whole game played out.
That was about monitoring minutes and wanting him to be there when it closed. But I think he ran into the baseball problem, which is occasionally maybe you put your closer in to finish out the 7th, right? It was one of those situations, especially when you've got a minutes limit. I thought my big picture thing was this. The Spurs were the better team for the first, until about 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. But their inexperience closing out big games, and part of it was they were the better team and they never pulled away. They didn't hit enough threes, but they never put the Knicks away. And if you don't put a good, veteran, gritty, grinding team away, they will find a way. And that's exactly what happened. The Knicks know how to win. They look like the best team in the East right now. If they're going to be the best team in the East, you've got the Spurs, if they want to be at that level, have to learn how to beat those teams.
Yeah.
You've got to knock them out. They didn't. And I think they did against the Thunder, and they didn't against the Spurs, and welcome to being consistent when you're one of the top teams in the league.
Let me ask you a couple of things here. First, on the Knicks, not hanging the banner in Madison Square Garden, making that decision. The Bucks and the Lakers said, no, we're going to hang banners for winning the NBA Cup.
I'm gonna jump in there. The Lakers were forced.
Oh, really?
The first year, the league was really pimping this thing.
Okay.
They were pushed to do it.
Okay. So the Knicks decide not to. Do you like that?
I think it goes market to market. If you're the Knicks, and granted the Knicks, it's been 52 years since they won a championship, and everybody likes to bring that up. If you're going to be a premier organization that prides itself on being in those moments, if you're the Spurs, frankly, with the same boat, I'm not sure that you put that up there. I'm not sure that you do. It doesn't bother me. Now, Milwaukee, it's organizational choice. I can see why Milwaukee did it. I've always said, if Sacramento found a way to win the thing, which they were in it that first year, was the year they were, good, which is kind of crazy to think how fast they've fallen, but that's a whole different story. Sacramento should hang one. Memphis should hang one. You know what I mean? I just think it's organizational.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And, if you're the Knicks, you obviously have your eyes on a much bigger prize. And this is certainly a stepping stone in that direction, as they have alluded to. On the Spurs, though, what do you make of this sort of more outspoken version of Wemby, where he's talking about not just being, he looks at himself as the face of the league, where he's talking about himself being the best player in the game now that he's back. I mean, he's kind of putting himself out there and putting a little bit of a target on his back, and he's doing it pretty quickly, it feels like.
He is, but I think what you're seeing now is him just being more comfortable with being himself. I think
I didn't know that was him.
Well, that's part of it. He was very kind of quiet. He was a quiet kid a little bit when he came over. I think you're seeing him feeling more comfortable, feeling a lot more confident, and realizing the impact he's going to have. He's also, it's a fun interview because this stuff is pretty thoughtful. For like the biggest names are kind of guarded in those group setting interviews, and it tends not to go, if you want to see what LeBron really thinks, you watch his, stuff with Maverick Carter and that's he doesn't do it post game a ton. Wemby's starting to become the guy who's a little more talkative.
Interesting. Like I said, it took me by surprise, and I'm rooting for him, and I love watching him play. It just it kind of jarred me a little bit to hear him take that approach to some of these things he's being asked. We got more with Kurt Helin coming back on the other side. More to do on this edition of Sports Wrap. One more segment on the NBA with Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Talking a little bit about the NBA Cup. Before we get to everything non-NBA Cup, are they going to move this final? Is it a foregone, is it a done deal? It will not be in Vegas next year.
Not yet done deal, but moving with a lot of momentum that direction. The latest report was that they were talking about Cameron Indoor Arena in Duke. They want more energy in the building. They want it to feel like a playoff home game, and Amazon wants that. And our question, I think, among the media and myself certainly, where are you putting it that you're going to get that energy? And you say Cameron Indoor Arena, which has a fantastic energy. You're going to do it when all the students are home, like during Christmas break right now. I don't know where they're going to put it. That unless you make it an international game. I'm curious, if you put it in Vancouver or Mexico City, but then you create all kinds of logistical issues. So I don't know what they're going to do
on short notice. I don't know how they expect to get all these fans to. It doesn't make sense. It seemed like it. I will say this though, from the perspective of Knicks Spurs, where I was sitting, there were a lot of diehard fans. There were a lot of diehard Knicks and Spurs fans. There was a section of the arena, and I know you probably saw it, where all the Spurs fans were, and they were going crazy.
They seem to import their, I forget what they call it, but is it Area 51, whatever they call that area that's constantly cheering all game.
Yeah.
They were there, and I was standing in the TSA pre-security line with a bunch of Knicks fans. There was a lot of them taking off the next day.
You were hanging out with Spike Lee. Just tell the truth. You were hanging out in the Centurion Lounge. You were in the Centurion Lounge with Spike Lee. I know.
Yes, I know. Yeah. Yes, exactly. In fact, he got me in because we're so tight.
Expansion are we getting any clues here? Is it Vegas and Seattle? Is it Seattle and somewhere else? Where's this going next year?
If it happens, I think is the bigger question. It would be Vegas and Seattle. Vegas and Seattle are the venues or the destinations.
Okay.
I think Adam Silver basically said we're going to make a call in 2026 one way or the other. My vibe last summer was that there's a lot of owners who are saying, hey, we're going to get some money from Europe and not dilute our shares, right? The big issue here is you own 1/30th of the NBA if you own an NBA team, and you're going to give it up to 1/32nd. Is the cash influx from that something you want enough to do it? Can the league, are you not going to lose money long term on this? And I'm not sure enough owners, you need a super majority. I'm not sure they're convinced, but we'll see. But they know they're getting cash influx in a couple of years from the new teams in Europe, so they're kind of more focused there. It's felt that way.
Well, Stan Van Gundy mentioned this, so I want to ask you. He brought up the idea that he thinks expansion to one or two teams in Europe is on the horizon. Are you getting that sense?
No, only. But here's the problem, and even Mexico City creates this problem, although it's come up. It's a logistical thing. It's either that team. If you're, I don't know, we'll call it Barcelona, but whatever team you want to, wherever you want to put it, Bayern Munich's puts together a team. That team's going to spend, you're coming to the United States and you're going to on a 2-month road trip, and then you're going to go home and teams are going to kind of fly over there one at a time. Just the logistics of a one or two teams in Europe becomes difficult. You've got to almost put together 5 if you're going to do that. Which is why they focused more on the European League idea of just having a 12, 16 team league over there that start with 12. And they want to have that up and running by 2027. Like, that's the goal.
Wow. Let me bring up a different team that we don't talk about much. Atlanta. They've treaded water for a while without Trae Young. Now they're poised to get him back. Can Atlanta make noise in the East?
Yes, but yes, they can. Jalen Johnson is having a breakout year. He should be the all-star from that team. He's been fantastic. But they need Kristaps Porzingis back, and that's why they get mentioned in the Anthony Davis, and seriously get mentioned in the Anthony Davis trade rumors. If you're not going to get KP, who's out with an illness again, which is what cost him a lot of last season, if it's the same Potts thing, then they're going to be looking for someone to fill that role, and Anthony Davis would fill that role for them. Look, when Anthony Davis is healthy right now, he's still a top 15 player in the league.
The Lakers, again, just going back to my conversation with Stan, he talked about it from the on the court perspective of them not being athletic enough, and you saw it in that game against the Spurs where the Spurs were basically just running around, running past them. Is there enough that they can change from a roster manipulation standpoint, Kurt? Is there enough that they can change to give themselves a chance in the postseason beyond just getting into the playoffs as a 4 or 5 seed?
This year?
Yes.
I don't think so. They're not trading. They can't trade LeBron. You don't want to, but he's part of your issue now. Just he's not, he's 41, dude. He'll be 41 in a day after Christmas or whatever it is. So, like, I don't think they can make enough moves right now. They've discovered that Austin Reeves is the number 2. And that's become one of the questions around the league. If Austin is really your number 2 and Luka's obviously your number 1, you've really got to put some defense on the floor. Is DeAndre Ayton really the center you need, or do you need somebody who's a better rim protector? You've got to get really good 3-and-D wings. 29 other teams are looking for 3-and-D wings, so I just don't know that they're going to be able to do it at the deadline. I think there's a cap. They're very good, but I think there's a cap on how good they can be. They're 3-3 in their last 6, and their losses, young, aggressive, attacking the rim. Phoenix is in there. The Spurs, 3 guards who get downhill and touch the paint. Like, those kind of teams, young athletic teams, they have a problem defending at the point of attack against those teams.
Yeah, and when I hear Luka saying, I got to take on more of a role playing defense, it's like, dude, you are what you are. Like, stop saying this. It's, I'd love to see him, but it's like Kathy Bates in The Waterboy when she's like, you ain't got what they call the social skills. Yeah. He doesn't have what you'd call the defensive skills.
No, he can be, look, he's 6'8", so he can be a better defender than you think, but they need the same out of LeBron, and what has he got in the tank? And Austin's not that guy again. No. I don't know they can get it done this year.
Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Thank you, my friend.
Anytime, buddy.
Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Thursday. This is where I would normally say, tomorrow on the show, Robert Littal, founder of Black Sports Online, joins us to talk about some of the top stories of the week. I didn't even get to everything I wanted to get to with him today, so I have enough to talk about him. By the way, I'm going to put you on the spot here before I get to odds and ends. I'm going to put you on the spot. I don't know what your week's like next week, but there's an opening in the second chair here next week. I don't know. We're off obviously on Christmas Day and all that, but
I'm never off. Right. You need me, I'm here.
All right. I'm just
except Christmas, because you should look at my office right now. It's filled with it's filled literally to the top with baby toys. I don't know what my wife has done. I walked in my office and there's nothing but Miss Rachel and
oh my God,
I don't know what all this. There's trucks and there's kitchen sets. And guess who has to put all that together? Me.
Yep, of course you do. All right, real quick, before we get to odds and ends, couple of reminders. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon, the whole lot of them. Make sure to go and subscribe to that. Also, Sports Wrap with Jason Page, our YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? This show, the TV show, available Monday through Friday, commercial free. You don't even have to wait or go through the DVR. It's commercial free on YouTube, available early each afternoon. Go and check that out. Subscribe to our Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. Also there, Sports Wrap Shorts. News breaks, we jump in on YouTube and give you some thoughts on it. They're 1 to 3 minutes long. They're great to ingest while you're, at work, on a break, whatever it may be. Go and check out Sports Wrap Shorts. Sports Wrap Shorts also available on our TikTok, Sports Wrap Jason Page, and on our Instagram, Sports Wrap Jason Page. And without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends. I think there is more to come in this weird story out of Ohio with this coach that has been fired over serious misconduct at Ohio University, Brian Smith. It just feels like there's another shoe to drop here, Robert. When we look at this story, they fired him for cause, saying that he violated his contract, quote, by engaging in serious professional misconduct and participating in activities that reflect unfavorably on the university. I'm just going to speculate, okay? Because that's what we do sometimes in this world. Doesn't this feel like it has a gambling element to it when you see that kind of wording? Is that the first thing that you thought of when you saw this story?
Well, I thought Sharon Moore. I was like, who's the assistant?
Oh, that could be too. Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought. But then, I saw that, they were reporting that he had a little liquor in his office. Oh. And then I thought about that. I said, well, that can't be it, because if that was it, 95% of coaches would have to be fired. Because, we've done sports for a long time. The coaches got a little cabinet. Pretty much all of them do, either to celebrate or to cry in their back office there. So it has to be more, to it. But unlike, within the Sharon situation, his lawyer came out swinging.
Yes.
My man has character. This is ridiculous. So, I don't know exactly what it is, but whatever they think it is.
They went 8-4. It wasn't like they were a bad team. They went 8-4. So.
Yeah, 8-4. He took over for another coach. I've heard the players like him. So they're being very vague. And either when you're being very vague, either the school wanted to save some money, or there's, like you said, a bigger bombshell that is waiting to explode.
I think
if you had the bombshell, why didn't you just put it out there? That way you save all of this speculation.
Yeah, I think there's another shoe to drop in this story. Stay tuned. Watch this space. Thursday night NFL football kicks off Week 16. We've got the Rams and the Seahawks going at it in Seattle. A huge game as far as the NFC West is concerned. Seattle -1.5 over on FanDuel. 42.5 is the total. This is where Sam and I would typically give out our picks for the game, so give me yours.
Well, I like the over on that. I think Rams score a lot of points. The Seahawks, Samuel Darnold's comeback stories score a lot of points. I said the over on that. I like the Rams in this one. They seem to have had the Seahawks numbers over a while. I think Puka is going to have to come out, try to have a good game, and try to get all of this other stuff, behind them and everything. But man, two really, two really good teams in the NFC West that can make it to the Super Bowl. So finally, a really good Thursday night game that we can kind of really suck our teeth into, which the schedule's been a little up and down to say, so to speak.
Yeah, Al Michaels is like, thank you. Because every week I'm like, this is going to be the week Al Michaels says, I'm retiring, you keep giving me crappy games. Like, I fear like it's going to happen every week. By the way, how have you felt about Kirk Herbstreit on the Prime Video broadcast? He's grown on me. I actually like him. I think he's a good contrast.
Too much Kirk Herbstreit. Let's put it like that. I think, and I say this not, and even though he does some things that I disagree with. One of the things that I don't like is the fact that there's only so many of these jobs available. And he's on like 5 of them. Give somebody else, an opportunity. And I'm not saying he shouldn't take them, because somebody's offered me all that money, I would. But after a while, there's a little, what I would say, oversaturation. Like we kind of talk about with Stephen A. Smith. I don't want to hear your voice on, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's just a little, too much. I watched the alternative broadcast where it looks like Madden.
Oh, wow.
With the guy that gives the next gen stats. Yeah. I enjoy doing that on Thursday. I like watching from that perspective.
You know what? Maybe I'll check that out, because I've never watched it.
Check it out. It's interesting. It takes a little bit getting used to, but he gives really good information, and you just see the field, from a different perspective.
Okay. It's going to do it for us. Robert, thanks for hanging out with me. We'll see you tomorrow. for
Always
for your usual segments. Thanks to Kurt Hill, and thanks to all of you at home for watching. I'm Jason Page. That's Sports Wrap. We'll see you on Friday. Hi there. I'm Jason Page. You like what you're watching? Subscribe. We've got Sports Wrap shorts on this channel. We've got the show. We've got clips from the show. What else do you have to do? You probably follow a lot of other things that aren't half as exciting as this show is. So what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button, follow the channel, watch the content. Bye.